And it's on. Hey guys, welcome. Joining us is the most amazing Darcy Smythe, from the creator and founder of TPM, Tonal Persuasion Method. Welcome, Darcy.
Thank you, Quinton. Pleasure to be here. I think this is our second interview, second time we've done this. So last time I was so keen. After the first one, I was like, I got to get back on screen with you. So thank you for the opportunity.
It's an absolute pleasure. And we want to focus the spotlight more on you this time, because Darcy, for everyone that is listening right now, Darcy is the absolute master when it comes to using social media in terms of building up an amazing, engaging community. And from that, also growing his business model, and scaling up from there. So you're currently on your way over to Perth for the very first time to present there, right?
Yeah, no, not presenting there. We will be presenting there later in the year, but I take off to Perth on Wednesday. I'm, for some reason, driving all the way. For some reason, I thought that would be a good idea. So that should be good. But it's, I mean, ultimately, Quinton, I think that's really an example of, or just a reflection of how possible it is to run your business wherever you are in the world, in Australia. You know, I'm just going to be driving the whole way, but I've got my phone in my pocket and I've got my business in my pocket. And as long as I've got my business in my pocket, I can do marketing from my pocket, which is really cool, which is obviously what we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
One of the things I think I'm very grateful for at the end of the day is the fact that I can reach my audience through social media, through technology, no matter where I am on the Nullarbor plain. I can actually add value to my market in a way that they don't need to know where I am or what I'm doing, but still they receive the value.
Absolutely.
I think, Quinton, I'm just going to rapidly go off on a tangent here. I didn't expect this to happen, but I'm just every day astounded by the next level of technology that gets introduced in this modern world. Like when things get introduced, like that is incredible. And then 3 days later, we're bored by it because something else is taking its place.
Yeah.
And we always knew that that would happen and this was an occurrence that was going on. But I just think now it's just really the guts is being kicked out of it to just make anything possible. And I think that social media marketing and the way we market our businesses is right at the forefront of that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's about to get even more exciting. So we can I'll drop some bombs later on in terms of what we are developing here at the agency and how we are now integrating the next level of social media, and also a little bit of AI, artificial intelligence, and getting other things involved. But more on that later. So Darcy, you've just, from watching you grow your business in the past 2 years, and keeping it very home-based, Melbourne-based in the beginning. And I've been trying to get you out here to Sydney for so long, and I'm really hoping you would come this year. But one thing that I kept following is just the way that you have built up your community, the Tonal Persuasion Method community. And it's not just any form of community. It's a highly engaging community. It's a community where people are actually there to appreciate the value that you bring, as opposed to just being seaters in the vehicle and just observing what's happening, and just more that they're more takers. In your community, they're more givers. Like they would actually go and write up their thoughts and contribute and share, which is just phenomenal. And if you don't mind, would you be able to share some bits as how you initially got started with your core community? And then from your core community, how has it expanded out? Because you have people from all over the world in that current community. Can you share some light on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the main thing, there's two main points that I bring up here, right? Actually, I'm going to go with three. Three main points that I've developed that community from in a way that, you know, has resulted to where you see it today. And the first thing has been constant giving to others. Constant giving to others. Every single day except Saturday, because Saturday is the day I watch the NBA. It's every single day except Saturday. It's all about giving to others, so much so, and I've spoken about this in the group when I speak about it at live Tonal Persuasion Method for Sales events, is that the group, you only recently have I sort of started to, but for the first probably year and a half of the group, I literally did not say the words I, me, or my. I simply didn't say them because the sentences were never about me. It was always about the group, the community, and the posts that I were putting up into the community that they could see was all about giving to them. And it was almost like it got to this point where people are like, are you kidding me? Like, you're still giving. Haven't you given enough yet? And I'm like, I'm just getting started. We're just getting started here. If this is what you think, then you're not seeing content marketing the right way. And I need to be able to help you with that by being an example of it. So that was the first thing. It was always about giving, and I never made it about me, and still I don't. I just don't think that business is about me, and therefore I give to others more. It seems to be this ironic way of how it works, right? The second thing was understanding the difference between transparency and authenticity. There are a lot of people, I think you'd agree, Q, you probably talk to a lot of people like, we want to come across authentic online. We really want to be authentic, and we want to be real with our brand. And absolutely you should be. But I think there's a truth that people need to realize about social media and the way the internet runs. And that is the fact that online, unless you're doing a Facebook live stream, which is a very authentic way of doing things, but anything other than that, any post you're putting up, any community you're building where you're giving them content that is digital, essentially you can delete whatever you've written and rewrite it all you want. You can take 2 hours to put a post up to a community. You can take 20 minutes. You can do and redo for 2 days if you'd like. Whatever it actually ends up on a page or with a community, calling it authentic, my personal approach is that I don't believe that's the right word, because authenticity would be just straight up, you get me how I am. As business owners, there really is a lot of ourselves that we don't actually want to show to the outside world, particularly if we're a personal brand. If you knew everything about me, then, and that was full authenticity, then it'd be a bit much, don't you think? And there'd be
absolutely,
you probably don't even want to see. I guarantee there's parts you don't want to see, right?
There would be no more mystery.
Yes, keep a bit of mystery. But this is the thing is, the difference though is transparency. And the way that I describe that is that when someone comes into my community and they ask a question, they know they're going to get the real answer. They're continually going to be told how it is, and that's what they come for. And if anyone doesn't want that, then they're not part of the community, and that's completely fine as well. We're not here to serve everyone, right?
Absolutely.
That's it. And so, transparency over authenticity, and appreciating the difference between the two words, I think is really key.
Could you give an example between the two?
Yeah, for sure. So authenticity would be getting up there, and again, Facebook Live's a very authentic way to do things, because you can't hide. Like, what you put on camera is live and it's going out there, right? Saying that you're authentic isn't being authentic. If you're authentic, you don't need to say that you're authentic. People will know, right? And authentic, I suppose someone trying to be authentic would be putting up a post saying, here's a really authentic, real way to look at this. And if they wrote that post but went back and deleted sentences and tweaked it and got the photo with it just perfect, just because they wanted to come across as authentic, it's not really authentic. That's not real. It was concocted. That's completely fine. Just don't say that you're authentic if you do that. Say you're transparent instead, because if people say, I want a transparent answer from you, you can give that to them, but you can also give it to them in a way that you know has been constructed in a way that's going to help them most, right? And you tell them the truth. I think there's a key difference between the two words.
Absolutely.
And then the third thing I think that is most important to you when it comes to building a community is being extremely grateful for the people that come and receive your content, and not just being grateful within you, but letting them know how grateful you are. I often put posts to my community and let my community know. I send my emails to my community, letting them know, hey, just to let you know, thank you so much for listening to what I've got to say. Because I'm just a guy. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to implement what I tell you to get results, but you do. And I really appreciate the trust that you've put in me and my word. Because as I said, it's be a lot easier just to not. But people take the time out of their day to read what they've been given, use what they've been given, give feedback to others on what they've been given, and ultimately, Q, the best part, go and help others with what they've been given. That's the best.
And that's what I love about your community. It's not that you're instructing them to go and do all of these things. They really come from themselves, and they feel that they need to be a part of contribution, and they really just show up and they give all out. It's amazing to see that all unfold.
Yeah, man, for
As,
sure.
as you were talking about the authenticity and transparency, one thing that I've noticed that you do is there seems to be this ratio between storytelling and then also content sharing. And I read a little bit of your book, and in your book there was a lot of storytelling that is unfolded in your journey throughout. And there's also then the content that the lessons that have been shared in there in such a particular way. When it comes to your community, or when it comes to your social media exposure or presence, is there a fine line between what you choose to share, when and where?
Yeah, really good question. Absolutely. I'm more of a storyteller when I'm writing books and when I'm sharing my story on platforms like Instagram.
Yep.
That's what people go onto that. You've got to remember and respect the context of the platform, right? And you'd be a master of this, Q. You've actually taught me a lot about this. Is that you got to know that you're not, I think Gary Vaynerchuk refers to it as, you don't rock up to a Snoop Dogg concert in a Led Zeppelin shirt, you know?
Yeah.
So you got to respect the context that you're in, and you've got to understand that people go onto particular platforms expecting a particular thing. Instagram, people don't necessarily care about learning when they're on Instagram. They want to mindlessly follow what their friends and their idols are up to.
Yeah.
As quick a platform as a photo. You know, a photo says 1,000 words in 1 second. So that's what people want from that, and respecting that. So I tell my story a lot on Instagram, but I give content a lot away to my private communities on social media, because I know that's what they come for, to that platform as well. My business page, so to speak, my actual TPM public business page, is a nice mix of both. So for example, this interview will actually be going up on there. And watching that through that business page. If you're watching that right now, thank you so much. So there's the business page that would give away content, but also people want to also mindlessly scroll on Facebook as well. So it's about giving them an insight into your story as well. What have you found? I know you will have worked a lot of people with this, you know, in this platform yourself, in terms of the mix between storytelling and giving away content, the mix between talking about yourself and talking about other. What have you found?
Well, it's something that I'm trying to get my head around. We've been split testing a few things here, because ultimately when we work with our clients, we try and identify the character, the attractive character that the audience would associate, be familiar with, and try and follow with, and so forth, and engage with. So there's that fine line of what Simon Sinek talks about with start with why. And then there is your own core message that you speak about, that's your own identity that you bring to the world. And then there's your content snippets in terms of that solving those immediate little problems that your audience might have. And we've been split testing, how do we use all three of those, if you can call it, segments of your overall story, and what gets the highest response rate. And it's interesting because we get different results based on different clients and different industries. But one thing that we do find that sticks is that if you can put out content there in an engaging manner that is valuable, perceived value to your audience, whether that is a 1 minute explainer video as to this immediate solution to this immediate problem, or it could be that personal experience that you've had, but it has to be short and engaging. Because when we look at our phone and the behavior on Facebook is everyone is doing this, and we want to just to stop them. We want to pattern interrupt them just for that moment so that we can deliver some form of value. And we'll split up between sharing something that is a little bit personal and then also something that is just directly content related. And then we'll retarget them. We'll keep switching it up based on what are we showing them next. If we want to share a little bit more of our character in our vulnerable side of things, or if we want to share a little bit more of the next golden nugget that you need to consume based you've already watched video one. And then we start taking them through this journey. And ultimately we invite them into our own community. And it's in that community where they really start to get our flavor. Not as much story-based anymore, but really as to our flavor in terms of how do we now articulate the next piece of content.
Nice.
As we know, there's nothing new under the sun. It's just a different light being shined on it. And we want to add that flavor. We want to add our own sense of this is how I believe this plays out. And that is what we ultimately find people sticking with.
See, that's fascinating, Q. I wanted to ask you this. Communities are a big thing right now. Like you buy into communities, you buy into them online, offline. And it seemed like, and I have no idea what the answer to this is. I ask the geniuses at marketing like you, what is the trend with communities right now? Because I would imagine about 2 years ago, they were starting to boom. Like they were starting to get really big. I think that a year ago, they were in full swing, like communities a year ago. Are you finding that is continuing to trend upwards?
Absolutely. No, it is the hot thing that that's going on Facebook right now. And it's such an essential key to your entire business model in terms of currently, if you look at Facebook as this big ocean, right? And you could go fish anywhere in the ocean, but you're going to catch different types of fish everywhere. So what these communities on Facebook basically allow you to do is go and put your own little aquarium inside the ocean of Facebook and just invite all of the cool fish and the hot fish and all of the fish that you actually want. And then you just go and you sit there with your rod and you keep reeling it in and so forth. And you keep feeding them and whatnot. But essentially, it's also taking control of your own destiny in your business as opposed to letting Facebook have full control as to where their audience are. Yes. We want to bring them in on a platform that they're familiar with, because most of the people already sit on their phone. They already sit on that platform and they engage with that platform. So let's engage with them where they're already comfortable with engaging. And then we also need to keep in mind that Facebook still owns that database. Yes. So what is a way for us to now take those people off the Facebook platform and capture their data elsewhere so that we now have different means of communicating with them? Perfect. And essentially that's what it comes down to. You need to be able to take your control of your own destiny. And the simplest way is start having an audience. It's start building up an audience, whether it's an audience that directly engage with your product or service, or you go and invest into someone else's audience and then possibly putting up a rev share deal or some form of JV deal with someone else who already has a big pond of people who would buy from you. Nice. To give you an example, we are currently importing a unit from the US, which is this beer tap unit that basically it's battery operated and it uses sound waves to produce a head on top of the beer. So it's basically it's a portable beer tap. You don't have any mess of gas and everything, but it pours the perfect beer each and every time from a can all the way up to a growler. And we are importing this unit to Australia as we speak right now. We've already sold our first 3 units. And we had a look as to how can we approach this. And what we found is we could either go and start our own beer community in terms of people in Australia who love drinking beer, craft beer, this particular beer, or whatever kind of beer, or the next hot thing. But we found there's so many hot, engaging audiences already out there. One particular page called All Codgers Having a Schooner. And it's literally just old people being photographed and then a story being written about them having a schooner. And it's the most amazing, engaging audience. And what that tells us is we could go and build it up ourselves and it'll take us a few months to a year or a couple of years to do. Or we can go and have this conversation with these people who already own this audience and let's see if we can get a deal happening with them. Yeah. And that is essentially how we are just getting our foot in the door with all these different communities. And that's essentially how hot it is right now because it's so essential.
Critical, man. And I want to stay on this topic because I know it is it's something you also wanted to talk about was the future of where a lot of these things are heading and what you're working on right now.
Yeah.
As far as communities are concerned and the leverage that Facebook has, because Facebook owns the leverage. Facebook owns the communities right now. They may be our communities of our groups, but Facebook owns the groups, right?
Yeah.
So what do you see happening with Facebook moving forward? Do you think they'll start charging to being a group owner? How do you see Facebook capitalizing on the leverage they've got right now?
I don't think Facebook will charge for the groups because currently in their terms and conditions, it's against charging your clients to have access to a paid group. Mm-hmm. Facebook wants to keep those groups free. They want to. Facebook's number one goal is to keep the eyeballs on the platform. They don't want to do anything for the end user to not want to be on the platform anymore. So as long as they can keep for the average everyday person who now can open up a community, if they keep that community free, therefore everyone else can come in.
Mm.
That essentially creates more eyeballs on the platform itself. However, how things are changing and the direction that it's heading towards is Facebook will eventually take out phone calls, take out emails, take out billing processes or payment processes happening external, lead capturing, sales made, and relationship maintenance, and all of those things will essentially be completely on the platform itself. So it's either them going to the competitors or to a company who has that division and saying, hey, we'll buy it from you. And whether or not they agree, if they disagree, then all right, cool, we'll go build it ourselves. Essentially, Facebook will have this massive bot that has just all of these elements that we can successfully run and do our day-to-day activity on without having to leave the actual platform. So the way things are currently moving is there's a lot of development happening in the Messenger platform. And one of the key things that we do with our clients is you can talk about funnels, you can talk about this software and that software and here and this and that. But essentially we come down to, if you didn't have any of those fancy technologies, how would you be selling to your current community? And then it really just comes down to having a personal conversation and having that form of interaction going on that you don't necessarily have to send someone to a webinar opt-in and then to follow through and then to do the next thing and so forth. It's no different than giving someone a pamphlet or flyer, a static web page, and then hoping it does as great of a job as you would do by having that one-on-one conversation.
Right.
So Facebook Messenger is hot at this moment because, like you and I, we are talking a lot on Facebook Messenger, predominantly Facebook Messenger as opposed to email or having each other's phone numbers and giving each other a call.
I can't remember the last time I called you. It's just all Facebook.
Absolutely, yeah. And that is a trend that's happening, that we are having more and more conversations on Facebook itself through the Messenger application. And I don't know if you're aware of some of the applications that they have in China, where you could do everything on that application. From the moment you walk into a retail store, you could place your order and go up to the camera and get it. It's so effective that they're constantly just on that platform. And that's essentially where we'd see the Facebook platform, or particularly the Messenger platform, evolve to be able to cater for those people that the moment they walk into a Westfield shopping center, they would be able to see a deal come through their Messenger app and saying, hey, you're here, you're nearby, take advantage of this deal. Or even just to spark a conversation, as what we're currently doing with our clients, is using the Facebook Messenger platform again, how they're already comfortable using the platform, just by having a simple conversation and naturally progressing down to the sale. It takes a little bit longer. And once you have finally tweaked your certain ways of communicating, then we introduce bots. Then we introduce the next level things that can a little automate the process, but still not take away from the human element as to, here's a pamphlet or brochure, flyer, and buy my stuff.
Astounding, man. It's an exciting time to be alive. I think a lot of people would be, or business owners might be like, how am I going to handle all of that? As soon as I nail one thing, it's, the next thing comes up, but I think that things like this are just astounding. I think it's so exciting for what it could mean for the future of business. Absolutely.
It is. The one thing that gets me excited the most is the fact that it takes away from all these other options that we have. Do we use ClickFunnels? Do we use lead pages? Do we use WordPress? Do we use our own developer? Do we use this? What merchant account? What CRM system? ActiveCampaign, SendPepper, Infusionsoft. What do we use? And it literally just comes down to Facebook. Facebook will take care of that for you. There's an application that we use called ManyChat. And everyone that's listening, I highly recommend you're just going to get your account. It's $10 for the first 500 subscribers. And basically, ManyChat is the CRM for Facebook Messenger. So everyone that is currently messaging your page automatically gets added as they would opting into your lead magnet or whatever it is that you're giving away. And now that they have messaged your page, you can now go and have that conversation with them, whether it's a broadcast message that you're sending out, or you put them into a sequence, or you want to do a launch, or you just want to touch base. That is the application that we are currently using. And it is basically taken our lead cost for one particular client from $11 per lead down to $1.30 per lead, because we're now having a one-on-one conversation and they feel it's a personal connection. Therefore, they're also more keen to take the next step.
Love it, man. That's unreal.
Phenomenal stuff happening. And it's, as you say, it's a wonderful time to be alive. I love it.
And I'm sure that we will keep, as far as what I've just heard then means we're going to keep having these conversations, plenty more moving forward.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Anything else you'd like to add to the community watching that you'd like to wrap up on? Anything else you want to give?
Not as much specifically that I want to give here right now. I think we've given a lot in terms of that. I think the next step is for people who want to continue the conversation, and for people who want to move forward in wanting to know more, or even just want to clarify a few things. So, Darcy, if you don't mind sharing your particular Facebook community where people can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So if anyone wants to see this in action, the massive value in action, the constant giving, the minimal use of the word I, they can join. It's a Facebook group called Accelerated Trust Creation. Tonal Persuasion Method Enthusiasts is the full name. But if you type Accelerated Trust Creation, it'll pop right up, and it'd be a pleasure to have you as a part of the community. How about yourself, Q?
So for everyone that wants to get in touch, they can simply just reach me on Facebook. Just go to Quinton Venter. Or if you want to check me out on a website, it's quintonventer.com.au. Very straightforward. And all of those my external links all basically take you back to having a conversation with me through Facebook.
That's brilliant.
Where I hang out. So we'll keep it simple. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for your time, Darcy.
Oh, straight back at you, man. That was unreal. Thank you.
Absolute legend. And until the next time.
Cheers, man. Bye.